Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to MSP Community Live. I'm here. It means Ray, of course, is not here. Josh, thank you for filling in again. Josh, I think you've almost become like the permanent co-host here.
Hey, I'm fine with
How's
that.
it
This is my
going?
favorite show. Doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Well, it's a little hectic here with IT Nation Secure coming up, so we're in crunch time. The phrase I've been using internally is that the bill is coming due for everything I said I would have done for Secure.
Yep. You were at MSP GeekCon too, right? I've heard nothing but good things about your breakout session too. How was that?
I was that was a lot of fun. So we talked about the troubleshooting methodology and how to go about approaching problems, and did it through kind of weird support cases that I've encountered over the years, and other people too. They weren't all mine.
Nice.
That was a good time.
That's good. I won't be at IT Nation Secure, but I will be at PAX 8 Beyond in 2 weeks. So if anyone's coming to that, come say hi. I'm excited to hang out in Denver for the first time. I'm definitely looking forward
Nice.
to patting Lucifer on the head if I can reach up that high. I don't know.
I will not be at that one, although ConnectWise will be, just not me. Anyway, so we ready for MSP Community Live? It's been a bit on this one. Let's do it.
Absolutely. We got some time to catch up. So like this is a 3-hour session. You ready to go?
We could do it for 3 hours. I would just not get anything else done all day, and we'd be down to one listener by the end.
Hey, perfect. Well, we might as well get started with our first story that we picked out is engineering meetings. So skimming through this, he's basically saying they're trying to revamp internal meetings. This is what he's thinking to do for meetings. We can read it if we want, but I think we can just have a discussion. How many meetings are too many meetings? I'd be interested. How many meetings are you in a week, Matt?
More than when I was an engineer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of meetings. I'm in too many meetings, but so is everyone. Everyone's in too many meetings. I'm sure you are too, and you're still more hands-on than I am. And how many are you in as an engineer? I can talk about how many I used to do when I was doing client work all day, but it's certainly a different perspective now for me.
So I say a weird position, but I love my position because I get to be both hands-on and hands-off. So I'm in quite a bit. This week from 9:45 to about 5:30 has almost been nonstop meetings, but that's kind of a abnormality. I would say probably a good 40 to 50, depending on the day, 40 to 60% of my day is in meetings.
That's a lot.
Various, yeah. But those are external and internal. So, because I again have an interesting role where I'm hands-on as well as hands-off doing VCSO style stuff as well.
So I think it's very position dependent. When I was purely a tech, when I was just doing straight engineering work and some like tech account management work, I would be in not that many meetings. I had maybe one. So just the engineering team, forget all the other stuff I got pulled into, like sales calls and that stuff. One a week. That was it. Like the engineering team met once a week.
Yeah,
and that was enough.
I was thinking back my old MSP when I was just the engineer. Outside of doing sales calls, pre-sales, and things like that, yeah, we had a weekly Friday morning meeting. However, we were more in person then as well, and we had 3 different offices versus this job is fully remote, and we do have daily stand-ups. So we have daily department stand-ups. That I'm in, and then we have a weekly lunch and learn, and then we kind of have like a social hour on Fridays where projects team we call it show and tell, where we get to show and tell some cool things that we've worked on, either our personal home or for clients, or just a new tool we're looking at and things like that. So
so here's the big thing, and if we're going to make this a show that has practical advice in addition to the discussions, the big thing with the engineering meetings is that This is the chance to talk about blockers, things that you're stuck on, things that maybe the team can help with that you're not sure of. I remember back when we started, like when the company was tiny, and we used to have engineering meetings. And this is an example of what not to do, to be clear. We used to have engineering meetings where we would literally go through the list of open issues and be like, okay, what's the status with this? And you know who that helped? Absolutely nobody. There was no value to that whatsoever. Um, the meetings got productive once we started getting to the point of, okay, if you're stuck on something, what can the team help, right? And if you don't need anything from the team, or if there's not a relevant update that might impact them, like, hey, by the way, I'm about to make this big disruptive configuration change at the client, you might want to be aware of that support team. And even that should be communicated in ways other than a meeting. Then don't bring it up, right? Make the meeting only as long as it takes to go through the open action items, the follow-ups, the things that you need help with. And if you're done, you're done, right? There's no reason to sit there and talk about irrelevant topics.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at making meetings, I mean, first off, have them with a purpose. Come with an agenda. Don't just have a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. And then if a person doesn't need to be there or they're not going to contribute, then they don't need to be there. I mean, it's have them as optional or don't just sit there while they could be doing other things. I think those are the two main pieces of advice I have for you.
Yes, and this is somewhat company culture dependent, but here it's okay to do that. Do this. I was in a meeting earlier this week where I said to myself, "Why am I here? Like, there is no reason for me to be in this," and I just left. Right? If you're sitting there like twiddling your thumbs, leave.
Nope. I see. Yeah, Eric's picked up on my kids. Yeah, 100%. They are in full schools out. It's been chaos. My wife is in summer school, and I'm obviously working from home, so they've been left to their own devices.
I mean, we were talking pre-show. There is always the give them the PlayStation option.
Nope, they need to
Not
clean
yet.
to get that. Nope. But you know what? Let's transition to the next story here because I feel this sometimes. The next story's title is "No Clue What I'm Doing."
So
Is he
there's a
mean an
meme about
MSP or
this,
in
right? I feel
general?
like we should have the picture up.
uh,
The dog fixing the car. I feel like we need to
yeah,
show that
yeah.
during this.
Yep. Yeah, so this is an interesting question. And it comes down to so this person got a position as an interim manager for fairly new MSP, outgoing managers leaving 30 days, so the turnover won't be very good. There's not really an turnover plan. Company has a small team and had multiple businesses wanting to jump on. It's growing faster than he can handle. He has a background in cybersecurity and telecom, working as a contractor, but then he's just kind of thrust into this. So the
Yikes.
advice comes down to all right, let's go into this, Matt. You're thrown into a relatively small MSP. You're the manager. What do you do?
Do I have any management background in this
uh
scenario? That because that's the first thing that's jumping out to me
yeah, he
is
doesn't.
that he's a cybersecurity, right? Not so. Time and time again, we have seen the best tech gets made the manager, and two things happen when you do that. One, you lose your best tech because now he's sitting in meetings all day. And two, he's probably not an effective manager because he doesn't know how to manage. Um, so that put that aside for a second. We'll just assume that it's someone who has some type of team lead or management experience because that's a whole separate issue. That wasn't really the intent of the question. I don't think. Um, my first thing I would do is go meet my team. Actually, you know what the very like step zero is understand and accept that you're going to have some bad months financially and that things are not going to go well in the beginning. Like when we've had someone basically rebuild a team or a process or a business unit from scratch, got to break some eggs doing that. Then everyone involved in this needs to understand, hey, everything from either the financial metrics or even things like number of tickets open or any stuff like that is going to go down. So accept that. go meet your team and ask them what's working and what's not working. I think that's my biggest advice. The people in the organization, in your team, know, right? They're obviously working and functioning to some degree. Find out what the problems are. Find out what's going right that you should keep doing rather than just coming in and imposing your will on the team. Maybe there are some cases you have to do that, or some decisions that won't be popular, but get their input, right? They'll feel part of the team, and it's actually effective in that your team can tell you what's going well and what's not going well. So that was
Yeah.
my really long, meandering answer to your question of what I would do, except for panic that I had no management background, and as Eric pointed out, no MSP background.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be a hard fit for him. But kind of to your point too, the tech versus the manager. It's I can't remember what the phenomenon is called, or what the actual term for it. But there's something where people get promoted to their highest form of
It's the
ineptitude or
Peter
something like that.
principle.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. So yeah, you take the people who are your most highly skilled tech, and then it's like, oh well, we'll make you the manager, but the skills for being a manager and the skills for being a tech are two completely different things. You kind of have what's the emotional intelligence versus the IQ. So the IQ versus the EQ, and your IQ as a tech is much more important. But then when you get into manager roles and really dealing with people, your EQ is way more important than your IQ, and those things aren't really related in any way, shape, or form. So,
And it's a
um,
totally different skill set.
yeah, completely different skill set. So you need to find those real rare people who can do a little bit of both. But yeah, and then to your point too, I completely agree. I mean, you can't come in guns a-blazing and change everything. You have to like take some time to get acclimated to the role, learn the stack, learn how things are done, the processes, the customers that talk to your employees, your team, figure out how things work, and then figure out why they work that way. And then at that point, you can then see what changes to make over time. Like, okay, well, I know that this is why you're doing it this way. This is why you're doing it. Here's the implemented changes. You can't just come in guns a-blazing day one and change everything. It's not going to work, and no one's going to like you for it. So take the time and embrace the suck, because it isn't
Yeah.
going to be a fun couple weeks.
Um, I just want to really re-emphasize this because I said it during my long monologue. When you take your best tech and make him the manager, you've now lost your best tech. Like, it is such a big problem. Like, the guy who used to do escalations, the guy who used to solve all your biggest issues, is now like approving expense reports and dealing with meetings and things. Like, be really, really sure that both you want that and that he wants that. Right? Your tech might think he wants to be a manager, but make sure he really, really knows this is a totally different job. And if you like working with technology all day, then maybe you don't want to start yourself down the path of sitting in meetings all day.
Yep. Or you find a unique role like I have, where you can be a tech and you can be a manager and combine it into both.
Find the unicorn
Yep,
role. Yeah,
find the
that's
unicorn role. But all right, well, I think we got that one doing. So hopefully, since that guy is listening, he knows exactly what to do and he'll be successful now, thanks to us. So you're welcome.
hopefully. Maybe we persuaded him to take a different role.
That's also could be a thing. All right, well, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. This one, we're both security guys, so I think this will be fun for us. Do you advise clients to contact their insurance for 365 account compromise or business email compromise? So do you potentially start a full-on IR investigation for a generic business email compromise if a phishing email came through, a few hundred went out? So I think they're saying if an email gets compromised and they're using that email to send out, hundreds of spam emails to various contacts, if they got around MFA, etc., do you contact the insurance company or do you just inform the recipients not to open? What would you do in this, man? I have a whole soapbox. So I'm going to let you monologue first, and I'll pull my soapbox out in the meantime.
No, I think we have similar soapboxes on this. So a couple things. One is we always don't get, oh man, listen to that grammar. We never give legal advice on this show. So I just want to preface anything we say with this is not absolute. This is, you need to have this conversation with your legal representation, your insurance, like all that stuff. This is just Josh and I talking about what we might do. And I think we're, in this case, both security guys, which means we're going to have the same answer, and that it's some form of it depends on this. Like many things in security, depends on your risk tolerance, your client's risk tolerance, the particulars of your policies, things like that. Um, it really just depends. Let me just throw a hypothetical example out. So if we're sitting talking about what I would call a routine BEC, not that there's any such thing, but the example in the post was, someone who just sent out spam. How do you know they just sent out spam, right? Depending on your auditing configuration, maybe they did other things that sent out spam. Maybe they downloaded the person's mailbox. Maybe they looked at files in SharePoint or OneDrive and didn't have per item targeting on the logs, right? You just don't know necessarily. And so depending on what they did, what you can prove they did or didn't do, and what type of client and what kind of regulatory obligations you have, you may have anything from a nothing burger all the way up to reportable breach. And so it really depends on what happened. And I think the takeaway here is that if you can't definitively say for sure what happened, then you likely owe it to yourself and to the client to at least have the conversation with the client like, look, here's what we know. If you need a more solid answer than that, IR forensics, cyber insurance.
Yeah, or legal at that point. It's like you
Yeah.
said, if you can't answer the question, depending on your regulatory and legal requirements, you may not have a choice at that point, but you would have to contact them. Again, I'm not a lawyer. So yeah, the correct answer is really it depends. The other thing too is the risk tolerance side of it. Is let's go off of the example where they got a business email compromise. They sent out all those phishing emails. That could be considered reputation harm, right? So, what is the monetary cost of you could potentially lose clients on that? Is that monetary cost more than what your deductible would be, or more that will be covered by insurance? That might be something you want to activate at that point. But again, the whole thing goes. The advice I'm going to give you is know these answers before they happen. Like,
Yeah.
do you have an incident response policy? Okay, I'm not hearing any yeses. Okay, do
And
you
do you
have
have one
cyber?
that's
Yeah,
for you and your client, because there
yeah.
are different policies? Keep that in mind.
Do you have you have cyber insurance? Okay, cool. Do you know how to contact them when these things happen? So let's say this is a worse thing where it's an account compromise that leads to an actual reportable incident. How do you contact your cyber insurance? You
Yeah.
don't know. You contact your insurance broker, and then they tell you, oh, it's in your policy. So now you have to dig up your policy. Now you have to work with your insurance broker. And now let's say that this is a system down issue, and now you're starting to this. And then your insurance broker might be able to point you in the right direction, but you still have to contact the number that's on your policy. Well, when's the last time you've done that? How do you know it? Well, let me tell you a personal story here, because I just
Let's
went
hear it.
through this, and this is my PSA, is to test this stuff. So I'm going through and updating our incident response policy. And as part of that, obviously, here's the steps we take. We declare it, and then what we do. But then it's time to call the insurance. But you can't just have a line that says call insurance. How do you contact them? So I went through, contacted our insurance broker. She said, "Hey, it's on your policy." Okay, cool. Pulled up the policy, got the contact information, and put that in there. And then I didn't stop there, because I again wanted to make sure that this is the right thing to do. So I called the number in the policy, and I get to an automated system, and it says, "Hey, thanks for calling. Press 2 if you've gotten a letter in the mail about your data being breached, and press 3 if you have a question about your credit monitoring services." I'm like, wait, hold on here. Where's the button to push 1 for, hey, all my stuff is encrypted and I need help? There was no button for that. So I push 0, hit agent, all this stuff. Didn't get through
Start
anything.
cursing into the phone.
Yeah. So I get hung up on. So I call back and I just push 2, and I explain to the person, hey, I'm not in an incident, but I'm simulating this to make sure that I have the right procedure. I'm simulating a ransomware incident, encryption incident where my servers are down, and I need to activate my cyber insurance IR plan. How do I do it? What's the policy? Oh, I can't help you. Let me get you to this other department. Sit on hold for 15 minutes. I get looped back. and I get to that person. I'm like, oh, hey, we just talked. Oh, yeah, sorry, the other department didn't pick up. Let me try it again. Go on hold for 15 more minutes, get a new person, explain the whole situation, and they say, oh, sorry, I can only help you if you have like fraudulent charges on your bank and things like that, wire fraud. Like, okay, well, how do I get to this department? Okay. Oh, you have to email this. There's no number to call them. Like, are you sure? Like, this is a system down scenario. So, yep, you just email them.
Interesting.
So I email them. I don't get a response. 24 hours go by. I reply back, basically stating, again, hey, I'm not in an incident and it's good, but I'm very concerned about the lack of response time. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. Please email me ASAP. Almost a full day goes by. So we're about 46 hours at this point. Finally get an email back saying, hey, sorry about that. We'll get you in contact with somebody. We'll set up a meeting tomorrow. So meeting tomorrow happens. And the guy apologizes. Oh, sorry, that was going to an old distribution list that wasn't being monitored. That has since been solved. So, if you email that, you'll get a response within 4 business hours. But then we went into what the steps and procedures are happening once I email that and activate them. So once I got to him, everything was great. I got all the information that I wanted, was able to document it. But next week, I'm going to email that again and make sure that I get that 4-hour business, because let's say I didn't test this. Let's say I knew I had it and I was good. If an incident happened, I would have been 3 days without insurance response. That is
Yeah.
unacceptable. I mean, that's crazy, right? And it was just to a fault that no one would have known if you didn't test it, right? So it's good that you have it, document it, but you need to test this stuff. Need to test it.
And so you're bringing up such a good point. So all the time we're talking about make sure to have your contact info and things, and make sure you walk through your plan. There's additional levels to plan exercising than just the read through. Actually putting some of this into action and going through the steps, that's how you identify things like this, or you typoed the phone number when reading it from the policy document into your IR plan. It's really worth spending some time going through it and testing it for real, not just on paper.
Yep, 100%. So that's my soapbox. Test your stuff. Have these conversations. So get with your legal, get with your insurance, and basically say, hey, if this happens, what do I need to do? What's the procedures? And maybe they'll say, hey, it's a nothing burger. It'll be up to you guys. We probably don't need to get forensics involved unless you have proof that they went through your OneDrive and SharePoint, and then you have to do like a data discovery to see if it was confidential, et cetera. There's so many variables, but
Yeah.
the right answer is you talk to somebody who has those answers, which is legal and insurance, as we are needed.
So the answer, as always, is it depends, which is the answer to everything in the entire industry and possibly the entire universe.
Yep. Hey, only Sith deal in absolutes. So, all right. Well, let's put the soapboxes away and see what our next one is here.
There are some answers that aren't it depends, like VI versus Emacs. There's no it depends there.
Or Koros versus Garmin. There's one answer there, and it's Koros.
We'll have to have that. That can be its own show.
Yeah.
The face off.
All right. Well, back to this here. This is another story here. My business partner doesn't mind our name, and I hate it. This guy wants some advice. 2 years ago, him and a friend started an MSP together. They early stages brainstormed name for the company. After a long decision, he reluctantly agreed to a name that his business partner loved, but he doesn't really like it. Name doesn't resonate with him, and it created a mental block for him, especially during cold calls and networking events. Believes the name doesn't align well, and wants to know what he can do. He thinks that they're limited by growth with their current name. How important is a name when it comes to MSP, or I guess businesses in general?
Can I get my life to the point where this is a major issue for me?
Oh man, yeah,
I think that sums up my feeling on it.
Yeah, I don't. There's so many like unique technology names with it, and like I guess as long as it's not juvenile or crude, I can't imagine it being that big of a deal. I mean, they don't really do MSP work. I don't think, but there's a computer store here that's called Green Eggs and Ram. Like that's a
That's an
cool name,
awesome name, by the way.
it's awesome. There's I think there's another one that I've seen that's just like, Big D Computers or something, and the guy's name is starts with a D. So I would be interested to see just how bad it is, but
I
I
do agree
mean,
with. Go ahead.
if it's just something generic such as, whatever technology group or whatever, like it's a name. I mean, I don't.
The point that they were starting to make though in the post, I do agree with that. If they are going to change it, do it soon, because once you have any real brand reputation, unless the name is truly vile and horrible, it's not worth changing. So if they are just getting going and have like a customer or two and don't really have any brand loyalty or name recognition yet, now's the time to change it, because once you do that, it becomes exponentially harder, right? So when we went through our first merger, our name changed, right? The exact same people, the exact same company, right? Just it became the Rochester office of a new company name, and this caused so many headaches because nobody knew the new name in our industry, right? So we, like, salespeople had problems making sales because the reputation went along with it that the old name had, right? So if this is really bugging you that much, the sooner the better, right? And if you're already established, don't do it unless it's really, really causing you pain.
Yep. I mean, well, how many times has Microsoft changed their name on things, or product names change, or company names change, acquisitions and all this stuff? Like, does it matter? If you're
Well,
using,
we were just talking pre-show, right? We were talking about a Twitter post.
yeah,
Um, I mean, an X post, right? So the name doesn't mean anything.
exactly. I think it looks like in the comments too, somebody's like, pull up the top 500 MSP list. There's literally one named after Top Gun. So you can be a top 500 MSP with the name Top Gun in your title, or some sort of Top Gun related. Although that's pretty cool, as long as it's like you're like Maverick, or Goose Industries or something, right? It's there might be some confusion, some brand confusion with that, but I think,
So yeah, and to your point, yes, product names have changed. Microsoft, they're never changing that name, right? It's going to be Microsoft till the end of time. They might change the name of, they changed Azure to Entra. We all kind of groaned, and we eventually got used to calling it Entra, or Entra ID instead of Azure AD. But Microsoft has so much brand capital around Microsoft that name will never ever change. And I don't know. I don't think the company name matters all that much, but don't throw away built up goodwill or brand capital just because you like the different name better, is my advice.
if you were starting an MSP tomorrow, Matt, what would your MSP name be?
Oh man, all the good names are taken by now. I feel like it'd be something, really boring, like Matt Topper Consulting or something like that. I don't have the creativity for that kind of clever name.
I mean, you got the brand recognition with your name, so there you go. You're sticking with it,
There you go. Yeah.
right?
What would
Oh
you, Josh? Would it be
man,
like Koros is awesome MSP?
yeah, probably. Yep. There'd definitely be something with that. Play into it. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I'd have to think about it, because I can get some creative, but to come up with something on the fly, I think, yeah, it would have to be some sort of consulting. Something consulting would definitely be the way I would go.
So, yeah, not only would I try and tread on whatever reputation my name has, Topper is one of those names that lends itself to like some kind of pun, like Top
Yeah.
Consulting or something.
Maybe do like tech trails or something, like that way it's combining like technology and my love for running, and
There
tech
you
trails
go.
consulting, and have a cool little like trail logo. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Our business
Okay, well, let's move
meetings.
on.
Yeah. All right.
Nobody wants to hear what my fictitious consulting company would be named.
All right. Let's go ahead
Maybe they do.
and go to the next one. I mean, I do. All right, this one comes up quite a bit, but it never gets old to talk about. This guy wants to know how many years of experience do you, given that
Oh
you work up
man,
the ranks, do you recommend before starting an MSP?
the right answer is right on the screen. Like I know
Uh,
we try not to look at the comments, but like Exhibit A nailed it. That first two sentences.
yeah, it gets into the people, the technical people that work in an MSP, and maybe they don't agree with the boss, or they think they can do better than that, and they're like, all right, well, whatever. I'm good at what I do, and I'm going to go out and start my own MSP. And they realize that there is so much more to it than fixing computers. Now you have to market, you have to do sales, you have to learn accounting, you have to learn the business side of things, you have to learn what cogs are, what KPIs, how to manage people, or just maybe you're the one man person, and you still have to know sales and marketing and all the fun tax stuff that comes with it.
The tech is the easy stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
It really is. Maybe that's just us though, because we're techs and we feel that way. Probably business people feel the opposite.
I don't know. I've ran businesses. Tech is way easier than the business. My friends of I have had a entertainment gaming company, a little LLC.
Mhm.
That was really fun. We'll save that for another show though, or you can hop in the Discord and I'll gladly tell you guys stories about that. And then I was a general manager for a restaurant, which I mean, obviously I don't own it, but I had to do a lot of the behind the scenes paperwork. Again, in that instance, like making the cooking the food and like serving, that's the easy part, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, making sure people get paid, and marketing, and all of the inventorying, like there's so much.
Okay, so here's some actual practical advice because I realize we haven't really answered the question at all, except being been one of those guys that said you're asking the wrong question. I hate that. Um, my advice would be if you're looking for something in the industry that is a benchmark for are you ready maybe to do your own thing. Um, my suggestion would be to be a service manager for an org that's big enough to have a decently sized team. You get some exposure in that case to the biz ops side of it by being that type of management. Like be on the leadership team of an MSP that's large enough to have a real leadership team that handles some of the business stuff. And then you'll have an idea of what that's really like and have get exposed to how the rest of the business operates enough to have an idea of whether you think you could do it or not. Um, if you're a tech who does the famous, I think I could do it better. Sometimes you can just know what you're signing up for if you're going that route.
Yeah, I think that's a great, like, you can't just be a technician. You have to be in some sort of leadership admin role as well as the tech to kind of see the behind the scenes. But you 100% should have some MSP experience before trying to start your own, because I guess if you don't, then you don't really understand the benefits or how an MSP operates, or kind of the who, what, why behind MSP versus just, hey, I'm going to get some clients and do IT for them, because it's two completely different things.
Well, and just from a sales perspective, right? How hard is it to sell something that you don't believe in, right? If you've worked in an MSP, you see how that helps your clients and how the model works and why it makes sense. And you can sell that. If you personally don't buy it, and you personally don't get that, you'll never convince somebody else to do
Yep.
it.
Well, I would say the other thing, I'm going to go back to the restaurant example, and I know Dina said this too. This is the difference between you own your food truck and you're making specialty food to, hey, now you're opening a franchise of restaurants supplying to way more customers. Like, you have to have the ability to, it's not just you doing one single thing for a handful of people. It's now you have to have like a scalable stack. You have to be able to do your sales and everything like that too. So very, very completely different things. But I think, yeah, the right answer is, get some MSP experience at a maybe not a director level, but at least some sort of management or admin experience behind it.
And I think we'll echo what we talked about during the tech to manager conversation before. Be really sure you want to do this, because it's not like being a tech. It's not like being a tech and doing some other stuff. It's a totally different job. And as the organization scales, you probably won't touch technology again at all, right? Your skills will go out of date, and that's fine because you do a different job now. But realize you're doing a different job. It's not just like, hey, this is fun. I get to build servers all day or build, SaaS environments and things. It's I run a business now, and somebody else does the fun stuff.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, what is your figure out what your why behind it? Like, why do you want to own or start an MSP? Is it, do you like what you do and you just want to be your own boss? Like, do you think that's the end game of like, hey, instead of working up the ladder, I'm just going to start at the top of the ladder? I mean, really figure out like what is it about the MSP side that you like to do, and ensure that ownership is going to scratch that itch for what you want to do. Because yeah, as we've said before, the technology part is like the last part. I mean, the administrative side with the cash flow and invoicing and all the fun stuff, the sales and the marketing for client relationship, staff, if you get to that point, having to manage and hire the staff. I mean, all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
comes first, and then technology sits on the bottom.
Technology comes at like 10 o'clock at night once you're done doing everything else and can now start doing some of the tech work.
Yeah. So yes, it's much more running a business than it is being good at technology.
Agreed. Okay, moving on. I think we beat that one to death.
Well, even if we did, we'll have it in a couple weeks. It'll pop up again.
I'm sure. So I haven't read anything of this but the title. Show on Australian TV where various couples renovate each other's houses and the winner gets 100K or something. What about alternate version? Business owners with complete due to ignore. Okay, yep. So cluster, got it. Have to go and repeat it completely up. Isn't this what most clients are like when they first show up?
Yeah, it's like IT nightmares.
Winner gets a year's co-pilot licensing. I don't know if I actually want that.
Ugh.
I guess that's cool. I do like co-pilot. I shouldn't say that, but I can think of other things I would like more than additional co-pilot licensing. The end of it all, at the very least, they get better environments themselves and appreciation of the effort involved. Okay, tonight's episode, Buster. Oh man.
So yeah, so it kind of goes off of if you were so that I thought this would be a fun one to end and have discussion on. If you were to make an MSP or an IT reality TV show, what would your be idea? What would you find entertaining to watch? Um, Something like IT nightmares, where it's like kitchen nightmares. You come in. So Matt Topper Consulting goes to some small business, and you get the rat's nest of wires and Windows XP computers, and then you just shut it down, start unplugging all of the the Ethernet cables. Like, what would you do, Matt?
So we've all been there. We've all dealt with the giant rat's nest, the thing that's been the meme cover of the Cisco book that used to have that networking mess on it. The environments that basically you walk in and you say you're starting completely over. What I think would be a cool reality show and more interesting is show me this mess and then cut to me having the conversation with the client business owner about it. Um, let's see how everyone handles these conversations with clients about what a mess it is and trying to explain what has to happen, explaining that we can't do anything on a shoestring budget. That I think would be cool. I think there would be value in the whole community in having like fly on the wall to difficult client conversations. That's what we struggle with as an industry. The tech, we know what we do. We walked into that XP mess. We just order a whole bunch of new laptops and start migrating things. But how do you deal with the account management side of it? That I think would be awesome.
So instead of the American version of Kitchen Nightmares, you're going for like the British version, where Gordon isn't like screaming at people and he sits down and has business conversations with I like it.
Is that really the British
Yeah,
version? I've never seen the show.
yeah. I mean, I'm a big foodie, so of course I love that show. But yeah, the American version is full of like swearing, drama, hard cuts. A lot of the cooking and stuff like that versus the across the pond version is much more, he's much more calm, doesn't really yell on that. It's much more kind of business focused and a lot calmer. It depends on what you're into. I think a super fun one would be is uh the old exhibit show, Pimp My Ride, except Pimp My IT. And he comes in
Yes.
and you have the rat's nest and all of this stuff, but it's being replaced with like RGB everything. Like, yo, dog, like you have like little like you have a little monitor on like your access point that shows you real time statistics, and get Raspberry Pis everywhere, and like that would be fun.
I'm having flashbacks to like the early 2000s when case modding was really big and
Oh yeah,
everybody was like into RGBs and like everyone was into water cooling. Like, and there was all these ridiculous like forum posts around showing what everyone was working. And these builds took like months to do.
can,
I don't see people doing that as much anymore, but I
dude,
guess it's still a thing.
can you imagine like you coming into an accounting place and everyone has those little nut computers, just a little Intel one? He's like, "No, dog," and then like on the desk now sits this giant water cooled like RGB, like it takes up half the desk, and like, yeah, we
Yes.
fixed it.
Okay, that
Like
would be
time to
cool.
update. Oh man, that I think that'd be super fun to do. Or like yeah, your entire server rack, like you have the door closed in your server room, but like underneath you just see the glowing rainbow like leaking out from under the door when all the lights are off.
Okay, that would be pretty cool
Uh,
actually. Or they have like, where can I get a server case with a window on it?
yeah,
That would be kind
100%.
of
Or
cool.
the yeah, your switches are now. I think it's extreme that are like the bright purple. Like you gotta go over the top. And like,
Yeah,
and
paint
that's
them
the other,
all.
yeah, that's the other thing too, is you get a small business and everything is overkill. Right? You're gonna call your ISP, you're gonna get 10 gig, like 10 gig symmetrical, and
Right.
this absolute ridiculous enterprise level equipment for just a 4-person mom and pop shop.
Right. I'm gonna get like a NetApp or a Nimble or something for
Yeah,
like two people.
yeah. We got you hooked up with Splunk for 2 years.
Oh well, there goes the budget.
Uh, yeah. Uh, I think that's my idea. I think it'd be great.
I like it. I think that would be more fun. But to reiterate my point though, I think this is another good example of we get so, and I do this too. This isn't me calling anyone out. Get so focused on the technical intricacies of this, and for most of us what we need help with are sales, account management, marketing, things like that. The ones and zeros comes natural to us, and how to deal with when things go south with the customer. There's real value in practicing that.
Indeed. I mean, that was it early on in my MSP career. I mean, I was just a level one tech at this point. I had a client actually try to fight me over the phone. So it would be that would have
Like
made for a very
actually
good,
fight
yeah,
you.
yeah. So he was, I don't know if he was part owner, partner, or something of the of a real estate thing, and his computer was on the verge of dying. Didn't want to replace it because, oh, it's lasted this long, I'll wait till it dies. I'm like, okay, well, you need to back up your stuff. Set him up with OneDrive. They had a file server, so he could have stored his files on the file server, or he could have used OneDrive, but he chose to do neither, and inevitably his hard drive died, and
Of
there was
course.
nothing we could do. Like, and I had to tell him like, hey, sorry, you lost your files. We can recommend a data recovery service to see is your options, but there's nothing I can do to get your files back. He's like, well, what? I repeated. I'm like, I'm really sorry, but here's the option. And he's like, why don't you come down here and say that to my face like a man? And I was so like taken back. I'm like, I mean, I wasn't even upset at that point because I'm like, like, no, that's okay, and like hung up. And, it's my manager. I'm like, hey, I'm pretty sure that guy is like trying to fight me. So, you get to deal with this now.
That must have been an interesting see, that would be a good fly in the wall conversation to see how that went.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't in the manager role at that point, but I mean, previous to the MSP, I had tons of call center experience where you get verbally abused hundreds of times a day, and I was a call center manager, so I was no stranger to those type of calls. But it was interesting to see in a more personal MSP environment versus just being some unknown guy on the other end of a call center.
No joke. All right, I think that was the last story, right?
Yeah, that was the last story. We'll end on a fun note. So appreciate everyone for hanging out, and always good talking with you, Matt. I hope you enjoy the IT Nation. Is it Secure? Connect Secure? Sorry, I don't.
So it is IT Nation Secure. Starts on Monday, June 3rd through June 5th. If you're going, I will be all over the place. Please come find me. I'd love to come and chat. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. And I'll be at PAX 8 Beyond the following week. I believe I pull it up here. It is June 10th through the 12th. So come see me there. Matt and I will both be hosting runs at our conferences. If you want to have a chance to go run with us,
come run.
Yeah.
7 a.m.
It's 7 a.m. Eastern time for you this time. I'll be in Mountain time. So it was.
So no problem then for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our what was it, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. run at Right of Boom? That was like 8 o'clock my time, so that was easy.
Yeah, that one was good. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Josh, I will see you, I don't know, next week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, sounds good.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.